Welcome back to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast, powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach. We know that helping you become the best and healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat or going to the gym a few hours a week. We focus on a holistic framework addressing stress management, mindset, lifestyle, sleep, support system, and of course, exercise and nutrition. My name is Nicole Coyne, and I'm one of the dietitians and the founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of the Healthy Kids Cookbook, 100% kid-approved recipes the entire family will love. You can find it on Amazon. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to take one step at a time to making health a way of life. I am so excited to talk about today's podcast episode. It is a two-part series. If you have been following us for any period of time, you know that my passion is helping people prevent and reverse chronic disease. Ultimately, that's why I started Healthy Steps Nutrition. A couple weeks ago, I was at a CrossFit affiliate summit. I was out to dinner with some people that were attending, and one of the guys looked at me. He's like, "Why are you so passionate about this?" And I told him about the story about the hospital, why I saw it was a broken healthcare system. It's really sick care, not healthcare. And he's like, "No, there was something before that." And the truth is, I am so passionate about helping people take control of their health because at a young age, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. We completely changed our diet. We ate pretty healthy before. She was a dietitian, or she wasn't a dietitian, she was a dentist, and she did not let us have a lot of added sugar. We ate pretty healthy, but there were definitely some things that we could improve. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She went into remission, and then the cancer ended up coming back, and she didn't want to go through chemo again. And we completely changed our diet. And ultimately, I think it was a lot of different things. They were doing hyperbaric chamber and flying her all over the world to help her essentially prolong her life is what ended up happening. But she lived 5 years longer than the doctor said she would. And, the way I see it is I got to spend a lot of extra time with my mom that I probably couldn't have. And so many things that people struggle with disease really comes down to the habits that we create. And the goal of Healthy Steps Nutrition is help people to take control of their health. So today, we're going to talk about understanding one piece of this puzzle, which is diabetes management, blood sugar control. It's something that I'm super passionate about because when you look at the leading causes of death in the United States, the majority of them are either caused or worsened by elevated blood sugar. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, the system that we have to help people understand how to manage their blood sugar, how to prevent prediabetes and diabetes is absolutely broken. When I worked in the hospital, we had like 15 minutes to go teach people how to manage their diabetes. It is not possible to teach someone something so robust as diabetes management in 15 minutes. In addition to all the other factors that are influencing their blood sugar, like the medications they're on, the stress they have, the fact that they're not sleeping well, all of those things influence your blood sugar. But the number one thing that you can control is through nutrition, daily movement, and quality sleep. And I think it's important to understand, big picture, like what is diabetes? We hear it a lot. So many people, every single person listening to this podcast, I will bet my life this, every single person knows someone with diabetes, or someone that doesn't even know they have diabetes. So when you look at the population, 50% of the US population has diabetes or prediabetes. 50%. Like, that's a lot of people. And 30% of that 50 have prediabetes. 1 in 3 people in the US have diabetes and prediabetes. And 80% of those people do not even know. 80% of people that have prediabetes are walking around doing the same thing that got them there. They don't even know that what they're doing is actually causing them to go down a path that's ultimately going to likely shorten their lifespan and cause them a ton of issues, health issues, medical expenses, so many things. The way we diagnose diabetes is through fasting blood sugar and also something called an A1C. A1C is a 3-month average of your blood sugar, and it basically is a percentage. Your blood cells last about 3 months. So when we take the A1C, it's an average of that. So maybe you have good days, maybe you have bad days. That's why it's interesting, people with type 1 diabetes. So let's backtrack. What is diabetes? So there's different types of diabetes. You got type 1, where your pancreas, which is the main organ that controls blood sugar management because it produces something called insulin, it doesn't work. Your body is not able to produce insulin. That is type 1 diabetes. Mostly kids get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, mostly kids. Type 2 diabetes, typically years ago, was only found in adults. Now we've got kids with type 2 diabetes, which is mind-blowing because it literally comes from lifestyle factors. So type 2 diabetes is we're eating so much stuff, processed carbohydrates, ultra-processed foods, and sugar, and our body isn't able to keep up with it. Think about like running your car without changing the oil and giving like a super nice car really crappy gas. And we're running our body on overdrive and our body just can't keep up. Eventually, our blood sugar gets higher and it stays higher, and then it stops making as much insulin. And that's when we end up having to go on insulin and get shots. So how do you get diagnosed with diabetes? So we've got type 1, we've got type 2. Now, from working in the hospital, I would say, although it was sad for these kids to get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, the one thing that I absolutely love to help parents with and kids was how to understand how to manage type 1 diabetes, because there is no one more serious about helping their kids take control of their health and understanding what to do, because it truly is a life or death situation if you don't manage your blood sugar, especially with type 1 diabetics. So, when a kid was diagnosed with diabetes, we would spend days in there, lots of time to help them understand, because there's so much that goes into it. But with type 2 diabetes, what ends up happening is people get put on medication and then they don't actually change the habits that got them there. And eventually you get more medication and then different medications, and then you get complications. And that is one of the things that I'm really passionate about helping people understand, because the truth is you can reverse type 2 diabetes. You absolutely can. You can get your A1C under control through what you eat, managing your sleep, daily movement. And most people just don't understand that. Instead, we want to go for the quick fix. So I'm here to tell you, and I hope if you're listening to this and you know someone that is struggling with prediabetes or diabetes, send this podcast to them, because I hope that you will walk away with something, whether you have that condition, which I would venture to say there are people listening to this podcast that do, or you're like, Nicole, I don't want to get there. We're going to work through it today to understand how hopefully you don't become one of those crazy statistics. So diabetes. What is it? Our body, our pancreas secretes insulin. Our body, for type 2, our body cannot keep up with secreting enough insulin for the foods that we're eating. So there are 3 macronutrients. We've got carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Carbohydrates, while it is our body's main source of sugar or energy, we need it. I would venture to say the reason why so many people are struggling with chronic disease is because we're over-consuming carbohydrates. We're over-consuming them. They're in literally everything, every processed food. And the crazy thing is, even things that we don't think they're in there, added sugar is in there, it is. We're eating 100 times more sugar than 100 years ago, 100 times more. We're eating more. Our bodies crave it the more we have it. Companies know this, so they keep loading more sugar in because they want you to buy more of their food. The food and beverage industry is so backwards. I'll give you one more example, and then we're going to dive into the content, because this is something that's super frustrating for me. And one of the reasons why I left the Dietetic Association, the organization, I was on an entrepreneurs board. I don't know, maybe it was 2017. I was speaking at a conference at the annual FNC conference. And we were talking about, I think we were talking about private practice. I don't remember exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about something, but guess who sponsored our talk? The American Confectioners Sugar Association. Of all of the companies that are doing good out there, why are we letting the sugar companies drive, give money so that they can put more stuff in front of the people that are essentially educating all the sick people in the world, all the dietitians? It was mind blowing to me. It was super frustrating. And I think that just goes to show like how corrupt the food and beverage industry is. There's a big fight between Coca-Cola and CrossFit for years. Greg was fighting this, and there is something there. And I think what's frustrating as a dietitian is, why are we not teaching people how to take control of their health and understanding, yes, if you want a treat, okay, fine, have it. But having excess sugar every single day will lead you down a path that is ultimately going to cause you problems down the road, not tomorrow, probably, but years from now. When you look at the stats, people that have prediabetes, 50% of those will end up getting diabetes in 10 years. 50%. So diabetes, we're eating too much sugar, carbohydrates, just carbs. So carbohydrates is a big umbrella, right? We've got bread, pasta, cereal, fruit, any type of like packaged food likely is going to have some carbohydrates in there. Vegetables have some carbohydrate in there, some carbohydrates in there. Dairy has some carbs in there. We need carbohydrates. We just don't need to over consume them. One of the simplest things that we talk about at Healthy Steps Nutrition, our first core principle is eat more whole foods. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store, minus the bakery section that's loaded with sugar. Eat more vegetables, eat some fruit, load up on the things that are going to fill your stomach up with fiber, vitamins, minerals. Have some protein. We want protein that slows down digestion, helps keep us full longer, helps with stabilizing blood sugar. Have some starch, but don't over consume it. Have just a little bit. So diabetes, going back to the same thing we've been talking about for a few minutes. We're eating too much carbohydrates. Our body cannot keep up with it. And then things start breaking down. The standard diabetes recommendations and what goes in the sick care system, aka when you go to your doctor, is you get medication. And if you don't actually change your habits, the pill that you're taking, probably metformin or something similar, will end up not working as well. And eventually you're going to have to probably take insulin, give yourself shots, or be on another medication to help you manage your blood sugar, which ultimately we can backtrack, take some many steps back, and take control of our health. So how does someone get it? Sedentary lifestyle, overconsumption of carbohydrates, and BMI is another piece of it. So on the opposite side of that, what can you do to prevent getting this, or decrease your risk at least? Eat whole foods, sleep, exercise regularly. Those are the things that we can do. How is someone diagnosed with diabetes? Blood tests. How many of you actually get your blood tests annually? Probably not that many. So A1C and fasting blood sugar, an elevated fasting blood sugar on 2 or more occasions. Now, what's interesting about the fasting blood sugar on 2 or more occasions is, did you know that if you sleep for less than 4 hours a night, so let's say you had a rough night's sleep and you wake up and typically you're going to get your blood work done first thing in the morning when you're fasting, your blood sugar is going to be elevated. When you don't get enough sleep for a consecutive number of nights, I think it's like 3 or 4, you start looking like you're diabetic. So if you do that 2 times, and those are the days, like say you're struggling with sleep 2 times, and those are the days that you got the blood draw, you would technically be diagnosed with diabetes. Do you really have it? I don't know. The verdict is still out. So diabetes, you have fasting blood sugar elevated, and also A1C. Now, how doctors, and even in the hospital, how we looked at how are you managing your diabetes once you have it is typically your A1C levels. So A1C, and normal A1C is below 5.7. So below 5.7 is a normal A1C. Now, when it is 5.7 to 6.4 as the as the research shows right now, the requirements right now, 5.7, 6.4 is considered prediabetes. Above 6.5 and above is considered diabetes. Now, I've seen people in the hospital with A1Cs closer to 10, like super uncontrolled. And those people end up having a lot of complications. And what people don't realize is when you don't manage your blood sugar, you get diagnosed with diabetes. If you continue to not manage your blood sugar, you can end up having a whole host of problems. It increases your risk for heart disease. It increases your risk for kidney issues. Many people with kidney disease also have diabetes. It's the stages. It puts a lot of stress on your kidneys when your blood is all filtered through your kidneys, right? When your blood has a lot of blood sugar in it, puts a lot of stress on your kidneys, causes some issues. There's a lot of cancers that are associated with elevated blood sugar: colon cancer, bladder cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer. So basically all of this to say, hey, the habits that we're creating today will impact our future, and we should take control of our health now. So what happens when people don't manage their blood sugar? You end up having chronic disease that causes a lot of issues. Now, what are some things? What is the conventional system? I think this is important to talk about. What does the conventional system say about managing blood sugar? In the hospital, if you get diagnosed with diabetes, the way we give you food is you can eat whatever there's a diabetic menu, but you just need to have 60 grams of carbohydrates or less. So you could have technically 4 juices, and that's all you could have. We know that if you're just having carbohydrates and if you have liquids over solid food that doesn't have fiber in it, it's going to spike up your blood sugar faster. We know that pairing protein and fat helps to stabilize our blood sugar and keep us more satisfied. It's not just about the blood sugar, though. Like, yes, it's about chronic disease. Yes, it's about that, but it's also how you feel. So when your blood sugar is elevated really high, and then say you don't have diabetes or pre-diabetes, your blood sugar is really high, what ends up happening is your pancreas secretes a lot of insulin. Insulin causes the blood sugar to go into your cells. If you're not using it, it is stored as fat, right? And we do use a small percentage, but if we're over consuming, if we got a lot of blood sugar, a bunch of insulin is going to be released and it crashes it down really fast. That causes the energy spikes and crashes that we have, our mood fluctuations and changes. Why we get those crashes in the afternoon after we eat a big sub and chips and a soda is because our body's on overdrive with our blood sugar going up and down all day long. So all this to say, whether you have diabetes or you don't, and you're like, Nicole, I don't, but I don't want to go down that road of what you were talking about. Because the truth is, it's expensive. I was looking up some stats. I'm going to look at my notes here. I was looking up some stats. Someone that diagnosed according to the American Diabetes Association, people diagnosed with diabetes incur an average of medical expenses of $16,752 per year, of which $9,601 of those dollars is directly contributed to diabetes. So you have a lot more medical expenses. On average, people diagnosed with diabetes have approximately 2.3 times higher medical expenses than people that don't. So it's not only that, though, it's all the doctors' offices that you have to visit and the time that it takes away from whatever you want to be doing in life, because it's going to take time. Especially, a lot of people with uncontrolled diabetes for years and years, they end up getting kidney disease. Going to dialysis takes a lot of time out of your day. So what can you do? Let's shift gears here, talking about how to prevent diabetes. Let's talk about understanding blood sugar. What can you do today, no matter what stage you're in? Because the truth is, whether you have diabetes or you don't, all of the things that I'm about to talk about will help you. CrossFit released this spectrum: sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. So whether you're on the fitness side and you want to stay there, which is really good, right? Because it takes a long time for you to go to this fitness side all the way to the sickness side, or maybe you're like in between sickness and wellness and you're like, I want to get over here so that I'm not going the wrong way. What can you do? So The first core three principles at Healthy Steps Nutrition are whole foods first. Eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, minimal added sugar. Focusing on balance, pairing protein, carbs, and fats together is the second core principle. Why? It helps to stabilize our blood sugar. It helps to keep us full and satisfied. And most people don't get enough protein in throughout the day. Our third core principle is limiting the amount of ultra processed foods and added sugar that is one of the leading causes of chronic disease today. I already shared the stats for you. So what can you do? Start eating more whole foods. Focus on balance. The plate method is something that is so simple. Am I saying that you can never have a treat or sugar? No, absolutely not. I'm saying if you're having pizza, have some salad first. Make sure that you're getting some protein, then have a slice of pizza and then move on. I'm saying when you're drinking your coffee, be mindful about how much sugar is in there. Am I saying never go to Starbucks? No. I'm saying go to Starbucks and get your drink, but have one pump instead of three pumps with whipped cream on it. I'm saying drink more water. I'm saying pair protein and carbs together and fat so that your blood sugar can stay satisfied, because ultimately it's going to help your energy levels, your mood, all of these things that are super important. So balance, number one. Second thing I think it's important to look at is how much sugar are you consuming per day? Are you actually looking at the nutrition facts labels of the foods that you eat? Companies do a very good job putting high source of whole grain, great source of this on the front of a package. And what ends up happening is when you turn it around, it's loaded with sugar. The second ingredient is sugar. It's super tough to stay on track when you're consuming a lot of added sugar. When I was growing up, my parents would make us we were only allowed to get cereals where the top two ingredients were not sugar. So ingredient 3 could be sugar, but ingredient 1 or 2 could not be sugar. Actually, I challenge you, go to your grocery store and find a box of cereal with sugar not being the first 2 ingredients, and then post it on social media and tag me. If you try it and you like it, that's an extra bonus. But what I would venture to say is there's not many, because I think we had basically straw wheat is what the only cereal that we were allowed to have. But I think that's the problem that happens today, because we're looking for things that are quick and convenient. And so many foods are marketed to kids that are seriously loaded with sugar. It's not an adult issue. It's a company-wide, it's a worldwide issue. When we look at the stats of people, 15% of kids have fatty liver. My biggest referral source at Healthy Steps Nutrition when we started was a local pediatric GI. I met him at the hospital, and he had a huge percentage of his kids come in with fatty livers and prediabetes. The fatty liver was from the overconsumption of carbohydrates. We got the kids moving, eating well, limiting the amount of added sugar they were consuming, and guess what? Their fatty liver went away. But the truth is, when you go to doctors, they don't have time to talk to you about all of this stuff. They are pumping patients in and out, and it's this revolving door. And if you don't take control of your health and create these healthy habits, it's going to impact your future. For kids, I think this is a really important thing to be thinking about if you're a parent. Can your kids have some treats? Yeah, but be mindful of what they're consuming and make it don't reward, please, if you take anything out of this and you're a parent, don't reward your kids with sugar. Don't reward them with sugar. Use non-food rewards. I think so many times we're just rewarding our kids. Oh, you did a great job. Here's some ice cream. Let's go out for a treat. When in reality, could we do something different that's going to help them associate something positive with a non-food reward versus a positive with something sweet that's more addicting? No wonder people are so addicted to food. It's like everything revolves around it. So what can we do? I got sidetracked for a second. What can we do? We can make sure that we're eating whole foods. We can focus on balance. We can prioritize sleep. Sleeping is so important to regulate our hormone levels, give our body time to rest and rejuvenate, and help to manage our stress levels, our cortisol levels, our ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes us hungry, leptin, which is the hormone that makes us satisfied. Sleeping is a vital part of that. And we know that when we don't get enough sleep, our blood sugar starts off elevated. And then as we eat, it just gets more elevated throughout the day. So that's a big piece of it. And then the other piece is movement, daily movement. So many people, we own a CrossFit gym in Deerfield Beach, and we love when people come to our gym, but realistically, our members are coming 3 to 4 times a week. Do we have some people that come more than that? Yes. But the average is 3.5, 4 times a week that people are coming to our gym. What are they doing the other 3 to 4 days a week? If they're just sitting at a desk like this all day, we're not really, yes, I love that they come to the gym, but I would really love if they were doing something on the days that they're not in the gym. One simple tip that we work with a lot of our clients to do and create a habit and a routine of doing is going for a 15-minute walk after meals. There are so many benefits, especially lunch and dinner too. Don't get me wrong there, but there's so many benefits with getting outside, going for a walk in regards to digestion, helping you digest your food. It doesn't have to be a run, just a walk. Digestion, your mood, energy levels. If you find yourself crashing in the afternoon, getting a little bit tired, I would be curious to see what your lunch is, if it's balanced. But the other piece is go for a walk, get outside, just do something, get active, moving outside. When we do that, helps stabilize our blood sugar. Our blood sugar will go down faster when we're going for a walk. Because remember, our body's main source of energy is glucose, is sugar. When we're going for a walk, we're burning more energy. Our body is using the glucose that's in our blood. It helps to manage our blood sugar. Energy levels, mood, all of these things. So if you're taking one action step from today, start the core 3 principles of healthy substance nutrition. But if you're already eating whole foods, if you're already focusing on balance, a simple tip for everyone is to go for a 15-minute walk after meals. So all of this to say, I truly believe our sick care, not healthcare, sick care system is broken. And if you want to take control of your health, you need to take your health into your own hands and educate yourself, understand where you're at and how to take the right next steps to stay consistent and make health a way of life. Healthy Substance Nutrition, our mission is simple. Help 1 million people take control of their health one step at a time so they can prevent and reverse chronic disease. It really comes down to the daily actions that you take. What are you doing consistently? Because what you do consistently is going to end up being where you are 10 years from now. I recently read a book called The Power to Change by Craig Groeschel. Think Atomic Habits, but a biblical faith-based version. Really good book. A lot of awesome stats in there that I'll be trickling throughout. But one of the stats that stood out to me the most was 40% of the actions we take daily are unconscious decisions. They're habits. We don't think about going and brushing our teeth and exactly how to brush our teeth. We just do it. And I would venture to say how we make our meals, how we make our plates, how we eat, and the lifestyle factors that we do are that 40% that are unconscious actions are probably not in alignment with our health and wellness goals. Maybe they are for you, and that is awesome. I think one of the things that we love to do at Healthy Substance Nutrition and our coaches that are around the world love to do is just meet you where you're at. You don't have to be a super fit person to get started. You don't have to be, uncontrolled diabetic. Like, let's meet you where you are. Let's take one step at a time to help you create the consistent habits to take control of your health so that ultimately you can live out your purpose in life and be able to influence people in your circle and help people make whatever you are designed and put on this earth to do. But if you don't take control of you, how are you going to be able to live out your purpose in life? Question for you to end on today. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hopefully this was enlightening to you. If you know someone who's struggling with diabetes or prediabetes, please send this to them, because the truth is they probably don't know how to manage their diabetes. This isn't taught in school, which is unfortunate. It's not taught very well in the hospital setting, because the way it works in a hospital setting, unless you're a child diagnosed with diabetes, there's a lot of people that have to be seen, and there's just not a lot of time. And you're not in the mindset to want to learn and educate yourself when you're in the hospital trying to have all these different doctors come in. So I would challenge you to send this to someone. Hopefully it helps them understand what they need to do to start managing their blood sugar and understand, hey, I can take control of my health. If you are breathing, you can take the steps to prevent yourself from going down a path where you have more complications. We've seen it. We have a sign outside of our gym that says we cure diabetes. It should say type 2 diabetes underneath of it, but it's true. When you eat whole foods, when you're focusing on balance, when you have a coach keeping you accountable, you will start making changes and take control of your own health. It's so fun for us to celebrate our clients that significantly lower their cholesterol levels, that their A1C goes from super out of range to good and in range and on that technically that normal side where it's below 5.7. It's an amazing thing to be able to help someone take in control and educate them on understanding what it is that they need to do to live out their healthiest and best life. Next week, I'm super excited to have Brittany on our podcast. She's one of our dietitians at HSN HQ. We have launched about 6 months ago, we launched a continuous glucose monitoring program that essentially pairs individual nutrition coaching, high accountability, high touch points with our expert dietitians. It's only our dietitians that are delivering this program at our HQ location. So you can go to healthysubsnutrition.com and hit apply for coaching, and you can work with one of us. You don't have to be diabetic. Actually, in this program, the way it's designed is through our partnership, you cannot be diabetic or pre-diabetic to do this program. So it literally is for the people that are wanting to understand what's going on the inside of their body. So you get a continuous glucose monitor that you just put in yourself, super easy. And you have calls every single week with a dietitian, and you can see in real time what's going on the inside of your body when you are eating specific foods, when you're drinking specific things, when you're doing the lifestyle factors that you're doing on a regular basis, so that slowly you can start making some minor tweaks to ultimately create the lifestyle that you're wanting that's in alignment with your health and wellness goals. If you found yourself being super consistent during the week, struggle on the weekend, if you find yourself really wanting to know the numbers and you're a numbers type of person, this program is definitely right for you. You can click the link in the show notes. You can apply for coaching there, or definitely tune in next week where Brittany and I take a deeper dive into CGM, what it is, why it's important, and how to really use a holistic approach when using a CGM to help you make those healthy habits and make health a way of life. All right. Thanks for joining into this podcast. We'll see you back next week. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and see you next week.